Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of G.S.T's Be Fearless. And we are very lucky because today we have the wonderful Debbie Esplin with us, and she is going to talk to us about being fearless and all of her takes on this particular topic. But first of all, I want to let you know that I am here standing in as the G.S.T host of the podcast. And we do this every week on a Tuesday, and we have new guests each week. I am a primary school teacher and an early years specialist. I'm also a children's book illustrator and a public speaker. So I do this podcast here, and every week we meet new guests and we find out about how they help people as well as their stories about being fearless. If you want to find a great platform where you'll be able to speak and find your truth and find your voice, then you could check out Global Live Speakers Talk. It's a wonderful page, and we have a community where you can speak out and share your thoughts in a very safe environment and practice going live. So that's a little bit about us. And Debbie, I want to say hello, Debbie. How are you?
Hello, very well, thank you.
It's wonderful to have you. And Debbie's coming to us all the way from Canada. I'm here in the UK, so we're on completely different time zones. But we are here in the same program, The Power of Technology. And
Yes.
Debbie is just phenomenal. She helps people in so many ways. She is an absolute wonder with helping you to reduce your stress and to relax yourself. And she is a healer. She works with Reiki and shamanic healing and energy, and she can work wonders on you. But I'm going to let her tell you more about how she helps you in just a moment, when I also say that she has a wonderful YouTube channel, which is all about easy and quick recipes to prepare and food for your family, particularly gluten-free. So Debbie, tell us all about how you help people.
Well, Reiki, energy healing, shamanic healing, they work more on an emotional, spiritual energy level. But because we are complete human beings, we're bodies, we're emotions, we're minds, we're spirit, we're soul. When you work on one part of the body, then you can help all parts of all the bodies. And healing is really it's not diagnosis, it's not a medical treatment, it's not a psychological treatment. What you're doing is you are going to connect with the person's energy body and help them perhaps balance their chakras, perhaps reduce their stress or anxiety. Sometimes it can reduce feelings of physical pain as well, reduce tension. And in the process, you promote wellness. So it's really about creating a space where people can share with you what they would like to share for you to work on, and then you work on it. And in that process, you help them kind of develop what they need to be able to help themselves heal as well. So that's sort of how it works.
And it's just wonderful that you do what you do. I love hearing about the wonderful ways that we can reach out and help people in what we do day to day. And you're obviously very passionate about it. And we're here to talk about being more fearless and being more brave and following our passion in some cases, where some people let their fear hold them back from doing what they really want to do in life. And I know that you can relate to that, as can I, as can many people listening today. So we are going to start with our very first question today. And I would like you, Debbie, to tell the audience about a time when you had a situation in your life where you felt fear, and you either allowed the fear or didn't allow it to stop you from doing something that you wanted to do, or something that you knew you had to do.
Well, as a child, I studied flute, and eventually I got very serious about it and decided I wanted to be a professional musician. And I was told that the first step would be to audition for the Junior Symphony Orchestra. And I really wanted to do that, but I was 16 and I was terrified. And in the end, every time, and this was before, internets and all of that. So every time I tried to pick up the phone to call to start the process, I wouldn't do it. And I never did it. And I have regretted all my life that I didn't become a professional musician. I was just too young at that time to know how to figure out how to cope with the fear. But I faced that same kind of situation where you have to, maybe it's an audition or it's a job interview. It's a similar kind of process, or you have to pass an exam in order to get to a next step in your career. And now with what I'm doing, with Reiki and energy and shamanic healing, that's terrifying, going into a session and doing these healing methods that a lot of people consider really off the wall and they have no clue what it is,
Yeah.
But in the process of going through this many times in my life, I did develop strategies so that now when I'm in this situation, I can apply these strategies and I can move forward regardless. So that's the good news. I didn't become a professional musician, but I have figured out how to at least move forward with my dreams.
Good for you. And you're so right about that whole idea of because people like things that are tangible, don't they? Things that they can really grab hold of and understand. And you're in that area, which a lot of people aren't ready to understand or be there for it. But interesting you shared that story. And I know that's going to resonate when you shared the story about the musician, and that you didn't do that. And that interestingly, now you regret it. Because I think we do, don't we? When there's something we really, really wanted to do and we allowed something to hold us back.
Yes.
And I think once we get older, we no longer want to feel any regrets of anything we didn't do. And we become a little bit more fearless and we can push through by doing things, no matter how challenging, no matter how uncomfortable, no matter how frightening they feel. Because we know that that's what we're destined to do, or that's what we're really passionate about, or that's what's going to help people. So I love that you shared both those stories, because they're both very valid. And I can also relate to the telephone. I mean, even as an adult, even now, sometimes I have times where I don't want to speak on the telephone. Yeah, I think we're all humans, aren't we? And we don't want to make that call sometimes to someone that we know we have to, and we procrastinate. Although I know procrastination is a terrible thing. It's like the friend of fear almost, isn't it? Procrastination.
Yeah,
like
that's right. That's right.
Anyway, thank you for that, Debbie. So you've already said that you've found some strategies and some actions that you could take that were going to help you to, feel that fear and do it anyway. So what are some of these that you've used that you can share with us?
Well, I'd say one of the most important things I do is I prepare. So whatever it is, do I need to do research? Do I need to practice? If I was going to, say, give a speech, I would write some notes about what I wanted to say, and then I would actually just practice it several times so that when I do speak, it kind of flows naturally. And also develop strategies around, are there any kind of glitches that could happen? And do you have a strategy in place already how to get past that glitch so that you're not just kind of that, frozen deer in the headlights kind of thing all of a sudden, which has also happened to me once I was performing on my flute. And I had never performed in front of a small audience that were actually like 5 feet away from me. We were in a small room, and I made the mistake of looking at someone and I completely froze and stopped playing. And boy, was the person who organized that concert really upset with me.
Oh, no. It can happen to the best of us, though. It can happen to really famous people on stage,
Yeah. So preparation, I think, is really good. And also, I like to use positive self-talk. So say things about, I can do this. I have prepared. I am ready. I am as good as the next person who's going to be, if it's a competition, whatever it is, you've worked hard and I have value to bring. So say this to yourself over and over again. Yeah. And the other thing is, whenever you start to have those negative thoughts spiraling through your head, just shut them down right away and go into your positive self-talk, because you can't let the negative get in your head. It will drag you down so fast and bring up all that fear. And then the last thing I really like is I use contrary disaster talk, which is like, okay, so what's the worst that can happen? You fail. Okay. Is it the end of the world? Are you still going to wake up the next day? Yes.
Yeah.
You still going to eat your breakfast? Yes. So, and
Love it.
what's the best thing that could happen? You succeed. Well,
Yes.
that's amazing, right? And if you don't try, you will never succeed. I'm sure everybody's heard that before, but if you do try, you might succeed. And the other thing too is I think when we're faced with some kind of opportunity or dream that we really want to pursue, I think sometimes we forget that even if we don't succeed in this particular step to reach that dream, that doesn't mean there won't be other opportunities. It doesn't mean we won't have the chance to try again if we do fail, but we might not fail. So those are kind of the strategies I use to make sure
Nice.
that I don't let fear drive my life.
And also not being afraid of failing, because that's what you touched on, isn't it? You know,
Yeah,
what's the worst that can happen? What matters?
yeah.
It doesn't
And
matter if
failing is
you fail.
actually a good teacher. So if you do
Great
fail, you can
feeling.
learn a lot from it, which
Fantastic.
makes you
Good
more
point.
likely to succeed the next time.
Absolutely. And I love that. It made me think of that quote. Have you ever heard, you must have heard it, when it's like, well, what if I fall? Yes, but what if you fly? That's what came
Yeah.
to mind when you said that's like a great thing to tell yourself when you're doing that self-talk, isn't it? When it's like, yeah, but this could happen and this could happen. And you're almost doing a mini risk assessment on yourself, aren't you? You're trying
Yes.
to look at what could possibly happen and try and think, what would I do if that happens? So you feel like you've looked at all the glitches. And I think that's really good, great advice. And I'm sure it stood you in really good stead with everything, especially with public speaking, because I think, everyone gets nervous to a certain extent with when they're talking publicly. Even actors get nervous going on
Yes.
stage. So I should imagine it's quite
Yeah.
normal. Thanks for sharing all that, Debbie. That was really good. I love what you said there at the end, about failing being, that's so important to me, that people see failure as a good thing. And I
Yes.
picked up on that what does it matter if we do fail, and it can be a good thing. So do you still, well, obviously I know the answer to this because I think we all do, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do you have current fears now that you can tell us about, that you're working on perhaps overcoming, or you've just about overcome them, and the steps that you've used or are currently using to work on this?
Sure. Well, so I've been studying for over a year the shamanic and energy healing, but I only started really offering it in June. So it's only been a couple of months. So yeah, the first few sessions, it was quite scary, even though it was with people I knew. And recently I've been trying to get opportunities to do my Reiki in different places. And I contacted this one organization, and he was like, oh, yeah, we'll bring you in for a trial. And then he says, oh, yeah, but we're going to have a group of 12 people and they're going to be mentally challenged. And I'm like, and I didn't think about it at the time because I was just talking to him. And I said yes. And then afterwards, I'm like in a total panic. What have I done? So I decided, okay, well, I have to research this. I have to prepare. I have to develop strategies. There's no way it's not doable. It has to be doable. I just have to figure out how to
Just
make
making
it the
allowances. Yeah.
best experience for them. And this is a trial. So if they decide it was successful, I will have ongoing opportunities. But if they decide, no, it didn't work out, which is not necessarily personal, and that's another thing. When you fail, it's not necessarily personal either. Um, so it's sort of like an audition, but I'm going ahead with it. I'm going to use all those strategies I talked about, research and positive self-talk, and, don't let disaster thinking drag you down.
Fabulous.
And it's and we'll see how it goes.
I'm sure it'll be amazing. It's interesting because there's so many other questions that come up when he says, that they're challenged. And then once you find out exactly in what way and what means or whatever, you can then adjust, can't you, to what
Yeah,
they're going to specifically need. And it almost makes it a lot more tailored or bespoke for them, because you've got had the
yes,
time ahead of time, you have some insight into the people before you work with the group,
yeah,
and what
yeah,
their challenges could be.
yeah.
That's brilliant. I'm sure it's going to be great.
Well, we'll
So
see.
That's
Fingers crossed.
that you feel fear when you know, there's a little bit of fear, but it looks like you've ironed out all the creases and done a bit of research and figured it out. So maybe that fear won't be so bad when you step in after all the self-talk. So what do you think you could describe the transformation like to somebody so that they can understand that by the time you go into a situation and you've done what you needed to do to bring you to that point where you're feeling more fearless, what is that transformation like compared to that little girl who just couldn't pick up that phone?
Well, when you let fear drive your decisions, you're living a very narrow life. And you're not living in your best interest because you're not becoming the person that you could be. You're not developing your ability to learn and grow. You're not living your life for what it could be. You're just living in this narrow little box. And that's not really a way to have, a healthy life. And most people, they want to feel like they've lived their life for some kind of purpose. Sometimes the purpose is related to work. Sometimes it's more related to self-development. But whatever your purpose is, if you let fear drive your decisions, you will never live a life with purpose, and you will never live a life with meaning. So I think it's really about becoming the best you can be so that you can live an amazing life, and stretching yourself so that you can grow as a human in, whatever way you decide this is what you want to grow, and reaching for your dreams, whether it's professional or personal. That's what happens when you can get past your fear. You can actually become an amazing person for yourself and for others, and live the life that you want to live, which, if you follow your dreams, will be an amazing life, no matter what your dreams are.
That's so true. I love that. You just almost become limitless, don't you? If you
Yeah, I think you
eliminate that
do.
fear from
Yeah.
from the equation. Obviously, we all feel fear, and it's a normal feeling, but it's when that fear becomes excessive and it stops us or is telling us something that may not be as bad as it actually is in reality. And
Yeah.
we let it allow us to change our plans. And if we don't allow it to change our plans and we put it firmly back in its place, like I'm personifying fear again, then we will be limitless. I love that. Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah.
So this brings me to my very last question. And I know you've covered a lot of ideas about strategies you've used, ones that you would suggest, and how great it feels to live more, more fearlessly without limitations. But I'd like to ask you that finally, what would you say to a friend or someone who came to you and they were letting fear stop them from picking up that phone, sending that email, applying for that job, anything that would help them move forward or work towards their dreams or their goals or their perfect purpose in life? What would you like to say to them before we finish today?
Well, I like to think of it like this. I see fear as being in your mind, and it's actually your friend. It serves a purpose, and it's a good friend to have. But fear is reactive. It looks at what you've done in the past and it says, okay, was it safe in the past when you did this? And if you didn't do it, it has no references. So it's kind of like it goes into panic mode. While living your life with purpose and growing as a person, that's more from your heart. And it's your heart that's driving you to do what you're meant to do with your life. But your fear is there to protect you. So I think one of the things that is helpful is to just look at what you want to do and ask yourself, is it is it safe? Is it realistic? And if it is, just tell your fear, thank you very much. I appreciate your input, but right now I'm listening to my heart. I also think that is really, I would also suggest to the person, we create our reality with our thoughts and our words. And so if you talk as if you've already succeeded, I have done this, I am good at this, I am in, this job that you're not there yet, but you want to be there. I am in this job and I am doing it, or I am, playing with the orchestra or whatever it is. That changes your relationship with reality and sets you up in a position where you already see yourself as in that place and doing what it is you're dreaming of doing.
Love that.
And another good thing is exercise your fear, just like you go out and you go for a walk. So deliberately put yourself in situations that challenge your fear, like me being here today. I do not like speaking in public off the top of my head. If I can read from the list, I'm okay, but don't ask me to speak impromptu. Even though I know I can do it, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
So push yourself, take your fear for an exercise, do a trial run with your fear. And then also the last suggestion I would make would be work on your ability to trust, especially yourself. Because if you can trust yourself, then you will always be able to get past your fear. And if that's an issue for you, then work on it.
So good, so good. And I love the references to talking to yourself. And what was interesting, you said about affirmations earlier, but what you're also saying is almost like visualizations into the future, or presenting yourself as it's already happened. And that's another step again, isn't it? To saying, I am this, I am that, but you're now saying it as if you are already that person in the future, which is brilliant. And it's really interesting what you say about addressing your fears and walking towards them, because what you then find, I know that I was told to do this many years ago, and it was just a little experiment where I had to go into my workplace and do something, and I always did a job really, really well and spent too long doing it. So I just half-heartedly did the job instead of being the perfectionist that I usually am, and see if anyone noticed. And of course they didn't. So then obviously I realized my fear was, if I didn't do it so good, that somebody would come to me and say that wasn't done properly. And of course it was not a rational fear. And therefore I found out by doing that experiment, which you suggested, is a really good way to find out that actually what you fear is not so fearful after all. And you may find the answer that allows you to never fear that thing again.
Yeah, and I think in our minds, when we have a fear, we tend to, and especially if we let the fear grip us, we tend to kind of, it grows and it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse. And then we do it and then we're like, well, that really wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
So our mind tends to just exaggerate the fear, I guess.
The other part of it too, Debbie, is that you could go back to it, couldn't you? And you might even, oh, I thought this wasn't so bad, but I'm feeling the fear again. But again, that would be normal, wouldn't it? Because then as you do it, you'll come to it. Oh, yeah. So this is why I didn't think I'd fear it as much. Because when it's been a little bit of time, you can expect to be fearful again, even though you think you've conquered it. And that's important for everyone to know as well, isn't it? I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I think it's very important.
Brilliant. Yeah.
We will always have to face fear.
Always.
It will never end in our lifetime as long as we're alive. But if we have the tools to do it, then we can do it.
And we should make it our friend. If we're going to personify it, make it our friend, because at the end of the day, it's trying to be friendly. It's doing what we believe it wants to do, which is protect us. And like you said earlier, brilliantly, give him permission or her permission or it permission to not get involved, that you're fine, that you'll be okay. And thanks for saying that, because that again is a very powerful one, very powerful. Thank you so much, Debbie, for joining us today on G.S.T, on Be Fearless. I'm so grateful that you were able to take the time to talk to us and for sharing all your thoughts. And also by being, here and being able to show that you're doing something that isn't something that you're 100% comfortable with, and that you're feeling your fear and you're here. And I think that is very powerful, because other people will see this and think, oh gosh, I wouldn't have even known that she was feeling any fear, and because you just look divine and brilliant. And it's been a fabulous, fabulous episode. So thank you for everything you've brought to the table today. And I just want to tell everyone, I highly recommend Debbie's YouTube channels. They're brilliant. So go and find her, Debbie Esplin. But we're also going to share her link tree You can probably see it on the screen, but we'll share it in the comments as well, so that you can connect with her if you're interested in finding out more about her energy healing, or if you like to do a spot of cooking and you think that you'd quite like to look in some easy recipes. Some of those recipes are just divine. I suggest you go and take a look, but don't go when you're hungry. Otherwise you'll be cooking up a storm. Thank you so much, Debbie. I'm sorry that we've come to the end and we have to say goodbye, but thanks again for being here. And to everybody who's watching, please come and join us next Tuesday when we'll have another guest speaker, expert, thought leader in their field, who's going to share with us about how they are becoming more fearless in their life. Until then, take care and we'll see you soon. Bye, Debbie. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much.